Okay, so today's box is called Editor. I pre-scanned, so you can see we have port 2280, 8080, and we have a version number already. Bunch of XWiki stuff, so maybe something else we can do with that. And you can see a redirect here, editor.hackthebox, so we'll add that to our Etsy host. And we'll do the usual, grabbing our commands. And output. And some things that we want to try. Etc. And the same. Ubuntu. Yeah, so first we're going to try to get an exploit for Jetty, and then we're going to try to look into XWiki. So we'll go with that first. And we'll just Google that version number, right? So we're looking for something that'll give us RCE, remote code execution, which is, I don't see anything useful here, so we're going to move on. First, let's add that to our Etsy host. .ip. And then let's actually just go there. Just go to the website. We'll do 80 first. Click on everything except for that. XWiki. So let's actually click on this, see where that takes us. We got a version number down here, 15.10.8. Anything useful in here? Okay, we got a login panel. But let's check on this before we go too far with all of this. Let's check on this version number here. We'll just do it right here. Actually, no. So unauthenticated RCE, bam, first result. Multiple versions, 24893, right? Let's just go with this one. 9.8, holy cow. Okay. You could read all this and do a little bit more research if you wanted to really understand the exploit. I do recommend always reading the code before you launch something. I'm just going to go with the exploit that I know works. I've already done this box, by the way. So I'm just going through it again. Same thing, a little bit more information. This is the one that I liked. So we'll just grab this. Move that out of the way. You could also curl that wget, you know, and output it to a file. Just skim over this code real quick. 15.10.10. And we'll just do there's my history, but normally you would just hit enter here to see what it wants, right? Oh my god, I'm giving all the answers here. So let's just do that. Port 8080, right? Because that's where XWiki is being ran. So URL editor 8080, XWiki, command ID, right? Just to see if we can get something to work, right? And it works, right? So you already know. Let me grab some commands here. So we got remote code execution. So what's the very next thing? Well, we want a shell, right? So let's grab a payload, grab your favorite payload. We just do this. Shells.com. Grab my IP. $15.76. I like to use 444, so we'll just do that. And then it'll spit out a couple options for you. I like to use BusyBox. BusyBox seems to work pretty well for me. We can also run that. We can run that exploit back and do, and because it's 2 words, right, 2 binaries, you got to put it in quotes, right? So which BusyBox, just to see if we have it, and we do, right? So we're going to use BusyBox here. Get our listener running. Okay. Connection received, so something happened. It's odd. ID. Okay, so we are in, but our shell sucks, right? So you can do, I believe it's that. Yep. Okay, so we just got that, just a shell. So TDY, not a TDY. So we're gonna upgrade this. We can do which. I like to use script for my upgrade. We do have script. We don't have Python, right? Okay, I don't know why that one didn't do anything. Which Python? Okay, whatever. We do have Python 3, so you could use a Python upgrade if you wanted to. Script works for me the most, so that is what I will do. Okay, you can see here you're in a more proper shell here with history and stuff like that, right? So before I go too far, I'm going to grab some commands. Okay. I'll leave this one up for now. All right, so we got a shell as XWiki, right? So now let's do a little bit of enumeration, right? So let's check ports, listening. So we got a few ports here that are listening locally, which are always interesting. You got this 3306 as well. And you got an 8079 here. So what I'll do, I'll just take this and let me show you guys. I'll just run it through GPT. So what are these ports? Right? Google, same thing, doesn't matter. It's just this gives a little bit more of an explanation, so I like to use this. Stats D, net data. Look at even, you know, MySQL again, MySQL shell. System D, SSH, right? You guys know these. And what a random port here. XWiki. And then here's some commands you can use to really identify. Okay. So we'll keep that in mind, right? We got random port 22, right? We already knew that. We got MySQL running internally, net data. which is like a monitoring dashboard, and stats D. But also sudo tech L. Okay, we can't use sudo tech L. Where are we? Okay. Let's check the home. Okay, we got a user, Oliver. Anything in the op directory, net data, running as root, owned by root. We can do environment variables. Okay. So XWiki. XWiki is a Java web app that's packaged in a Jetty server. And Java web apps, they always have configs in a directory called web-inf. So we can use your library. cd XWiki. And there it is. INF. Okay, and so hibernate, this file right here, hibernate config XML, is always a juicy file. So what we'll do, we'll just cat that out, and geez, okay. Let's scroll to the top. See if you can see anything useful. I use tabby terminal, so I can actually Control Shift F and search for anything. And I'll start it from the top. And look, literally the first thing. So go to MySQL credential, XWiki, the editor, team 99. Now, what we're gonna do with that is we're going to try for password reuse, even though this is a MySQL and we know MySQL is running internally. We do want to check for password reuse, right? And we have a user, Oliver, and we have a password. And then this is also, I mean, technically a service user, service account, but I guess it could also be a user named XWiki, right? But so we'll just copy this and we will try some password reuse. Because remember we have SSH open as well. And then we can also go to 20 to see if that works and log on. And remember we found that log on as well. So we could try it there. But let's just go with the SSH. We could also do MySQL, right? If you were to enumerate this further, MySQL, XWiki, right? Type P, throw your password in. If I can type, that's not the password. And then it's hosted locally, right? So just do that. Let me get this out of the way, right? That's what your MySQL command will look like. We'll get there. But for now, we are going to just try password reuse. And IP was 3074. And would you look at that? That's why password reuse is so important to check. It's a real thing in the real world. I've been on multiple pen tests where it's all over the place, you know, and that should be in your report, right? So, yeah, we have credentials. Again, you would have checked MySQL as well. You could check that login page for the credentials. I know this is the path, so I'm just going to go with this, right? But you want to check, now that you have a set of credentials, you want to check it everywhere possible. We haven't even done any of this stuff, right? We haven't done any vhost, directory busting. We haven't found any directories. Even though our nmap output did find a ton of XWiki stuff, right? So that's what kind of made me think to hone in on XWiki after the Jetty 10.0.20 didn't work, right? But we still haven't done any of this stuff, right? And normally you would. Also, I want to show you one more thing. We will get rid of this, open a new one. Okay. So remember, it was also running this 1999 net data port. So we'll just check on that port as well. Already in use. Okay, this must be from earlier. But what you would do is I forwarded that 1999 to my local 8888, and I would just go to my browser and open this. I would just type it out like this, localhost, like that, right? And that's going to bring you up it's going to bring up NetData, which is like a monitoring software, and you would click through that, you would enumerate that as well, right? And the reason you have to port forward is obviously you're in command line with your reverse shell from earlier, so you can't look at GUI, right? So you gotta port forward that locally, and then view it on like a browser on your system, right? So you would do that in the future as well. Okay, where was I? Okay, so we're in as Oliver. So you already know ID. Do the basics first, right? Sudo tag L. Is that not? Okay, so you cannot run sudo on editor. So he's blocked off from that. But we do have this net data. We're part of that group. So what we want to do is, okay, well, what files is that are attached to that group, right? So we can do something like find group proxy, set everything to null. Have it net data, right? What's going on here? Let me just copy paste my command. Yeah, I must have fat fingered it somewhere. I don't even know. Find. Okay, my terminal is going crazy. All right. All right, so you're probably familiar with this one, but we're looking for any binaries with the SUID set, the sticky. And look at this, we have all these plugins here. That's not normal, right? It's in there. Remember, this is why we looked at the op directory earlier, and we found that net data. But here's a bunch of stuff that when it runs, it executes with privilege, executes as root. So that's a bit of a clue. So we'll just grab that. But look at this one, ndsudo. What the heck is ndsudo? Right? That should be, sudo is a privilege S thing, but this looks like maybe a custom binary or something. So if we do that, what happens? 2 parameters are needed. What about attack H? So we can run some commands here. So what if we do NVMe list, not available in path? So we got some odd behavior here, right? Let's Google that. Google not found. Did you find? Okay. Is it on here? POC. See what pops up. Privilege escalation. Literally the very first, right? Let's clarify here. Net data and ndsudo. So this is definitely it, right? So let's a local user execute arbitrary programs as root via untrusted search path. Remember, it was saying no, there was no path for that existing binary. So you can read this, you can throw it into GPT, have GPT break this CVE down for you a little bit more. And you got a script here. It gives it execute. Okay. And all you got to do is compile it, right? Just compile this. So that is what we will do. You gotta upload stuff, yeah. Okay. Just gonna use the one, again, just like earlier, the one that I'm familiar with. So just go there. Oh, I feel like it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same one. That's odd. Oh, it wasn't copying, so okay, that's the one I was using. Same deal, set user ID to root, set group ID to root, and then I believe this executes but interrupts and spawns bin bash as root, right? So that is what we will do. Is GCC on here? No. Okay. Okay, we got it here. So you can see my commands there, and we're just going to follow the exploit, right? So it breaks it down for you, right? Number 1, 2, and 3, 4. Right, you're going to compile it, you're going to transfer it over to the temp directory, you're going to give it execute permissions, you're going to export the path so that when ndsudo executes, it looks inside of temp first, right? See, it says right here, this ensures ndsudo will resolve and execute your malicious NVMe instead of the legitimate one, right? And then we'll just run ndsudo with that argument that we were allowed to run that you can see here, right? That you can see here, and then that should escalate us. So we'll just follow that. Wait, did I already do that? Yep. Okay, so there it is there. And we'll just transfer that over, right? So we'll just use this command that they so nicely gave us, but you can use, you know, of course, whatever file transfer command you like. 10, 129, 30, 74. And his password. Okay, so we go to temp, and that should be in there now. Yep, NVMe, it's got execute already. But we'll run this just for the sake of the video. Right, it's the same thing. And then export the path. And we will trigger it now. And this is not going to work because our ndsudo is not here, right? So from earlier, this is where it's at. And that should escalate us. And it does. So we are root. All right, pretty simple, easy one. Hopefully you got the enumeration out of that, right? And like the train of thought. And we can go back and grab some commands if we want to. So we'll do, okay, we already did that. Then we grab the PLC. We did that. Compiled it. Transferred it. Exported it. Also gave it execute. even though we already had it, right? So, and then we escalated. Right, so we basically just told it to use our binary instead of the one, right, the other one, NVMe. So we set the path here to our binary. Our binary just consisted of this escalation nonsense right here, right? Spawning a process as bin bash as root, right? Set user ID root, set group ID root, bin bash. And so when we execute ndsudo, instead of looking, right, it like the path was broken from earlier, right? We saw that it was just like, hey, this is not found in your path or whatever. And so we gave it a path, right? And we gave it a path to ours, right? As you can see right here. And that escalated us. So yeah, hopefully you like this one. Y'all take care until next week.